First question, in regard to rebirth, can you explain no self in depth? I came upon it in my reading that the Buddha rejected the notion of a soul, that there is nothing we can anchor that is solid in our bodies or mind. Thanks. Now, first of all, let's define what do we mean by self. When we say self, yourself, myself, it's regarding your body, a body. So what is a self? What is a self made up of? The self is made up of the 5 skantras. The way we look at self. How does a sentient being look at a self? We look at a self. When we look at a self comprises the 5 aggregates or the 5 khandhas. Let's put 1 on this side and 4 on this side, so altogether 5. On this side, matter, what is matter? You have a body, right? A self must have a body. Your eyes, your nose, your ears, your hair, your nails, your liver, your kidneys, your heart, your stomach, you name it. You've got matter in you. Other than the physical part. The physical part is, of course, you can do the body. You also have the metaphysical part. Your feelings, your perception, your eyes, your nose, your ear. When you perceive things, when you listen to things, when you taste, when you touch, all this is perception. You have perception in you. Other than perception, you have to conceptualize perception. When you see a column, your eyes see, so there's perception, but you still have to conceptualize it. Oh, this is round, this is red, this is smooth, this is not a square. You got to conceptualize and discriminate, you got to analyze it, and sometimes you may have to dig onto your archive files in your mind is what is red and what is green and what is round and all that. So this conceptualization. There's more. What is that? Volition. After you conceptualize, you don't just sit there for the purpose of conceptualizing and don't do anything. You will carry out actions, behavior, or speeches, or thinking, right? You're not a piece of wood. You're not a piece of stone. After you perceive, you conceptualize, then you take action. Whatever actions, I don't know. You speak, right? So that means you are taking out volitional formation of you. So you have behavior. And some of these are good behavior, some of these are bad behavior, some of these are neutral behavior. You know what? Actually, I'm going a course of psychology now. Have you taken Psychology 100? They may not explain that. They just explain psychology in general. They don't go into details like that. But we can go, well, you told me, explain no self in depth. So I can explain until tomorrow morning. Can you stay? Because it's very detailed. It's a whole school of thought of Vijnanavadin school. And the volumes about studying self and mental afflictions and consciousness and all that, volumes, if you count the number of characters in Chinese, maybe a few billion, trillion, I don't know, uncountable. Even in English versions, if you dig into the books of Vijnanavadin, maybe 200-300 books, 300-500, I don't know. But anyway, I can't go on and on forever. I summarize it for you so that hopefully you get an A in your course. Okay, so I got matter, explained it to you. Matter is easy to explain. You are matter. You are nothing but a whole bunch of molecules in you, a whole bunch of elements in you, a whole bunch of body cells in you. What is more complicated is the spiritual side, which is perception, conception, volition. Perception and conception is a little easier to understand. Volitional action is more difficult to understand. How do you carry out your behavior? Your behavior could be good, could be bad, could be neutral. When you carry out your behavior, carry out into volitional formation, you are creating at the same time, what is that? Karma. You're creating energy. So there's volitional actions. Once you've done something, for example, you've done stealing, for example, you've done a bit of sexual misconduct, it's not just the end of it. Whatever you've done would have energy, would have karma that associate with it. You can't get away with it. It's invisible. You can't get away. There's nothing comes without a cause. Why do you come here today? For no good reason? There must be something that brought you here. So, volitionally, not just the behavior, your speech. You curse, you yell, you lie, you slander, you flatter. All these produce karma. So watch your mouth. Watch what you're talking about. Watch your behavior. So that's the volitional part. Once the volitional part is done, all this energy is stored inside of you, outside of you too. That's called karma. This karma, when you died, you cannot take anything with you. Not your bank account, not your properties in North Van, West Van, whatever you call it, $3 million, $4 million house, a mansion, $60 million mansion, swimming pool, you have a yacht, you have a pier by yourself. You can't bring any of those with you when you died. Not your jewelry, not even your own body. What can you bring with you? What is still associated and attached to you? The karma. I always like to cite that movie that maybe you get bored listening to it. Heaven Can Wait. It's just old movies. Or Ghosts in the 1990s. I don't think there's any more new movies related to Buddhism anymore. The last one I've seen is 7 Years in Tibet, The Laughing Buddha. In the Ghost, in the movie called Ghost, you can I think you can YouTube. Can you YouTube movies now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you? So you YouTube into Ghost and see what Patrick Swayze said before he went on to heaven. To what is this lady's name?
Whoopi Goldberg.
No, not Whoopi Goldberg. Demi Moore. What did he say? It's what is her name in the movie? Her role to play? I forgot. Anyway, he said, it's amazing. Everything you've done, you can't take with you. You only can, everything you've done, you can take with you to heaven. That's because you have done the good thing. The bad things take down you to hell. So you can't take anything with you. The karma would follow you, and then you roll into the next reincarnation path. So what am I talking about? I'm still answering this question. But you said in depth, so I don't know how much depth. So okay, let's say, okay, that's enough detail, okay? So you have volitional action, and then you have consciousness too. Remember this 4, I said 1 on this side, and 4 on this side, 4 on this side is perception, conception, volition, and what? Consciousness. Consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness explains not only of the present, of the past, and of the future. That means whatever you have done, where is it stored? Whatever you have in the keyboard, where is it stored? In the disk drive. That's your consciousness. That's stored in your alive consciousness. All the bad karma, all the seeds, everything, it gets stored in there. We also call it the banking consciousness. That consciousness is so unlimited that it has no limit. Because for millions of lives, you carry that consciousness with you to reincarnation, and we call it a liar consciousness. It's invisible. Consciousness is invisible. So when you died, what died first? When you died, this one died first. You don't have your body anymore. You don't have to, your lung is not working, your liver, your heart, none of this is working. And all this shrink into the consciousness, and that consciousness is so invisible, it leaves your body at the very last moment, and then it becomes a bottle stage, and whenever conditions arises that you have to reincarnate, you zoom into your future mom's body, and then you become a baby. And then you get born. There's paticca samuppada. We just talked about this morning. Paticca samuppada, dependent on origination. But your question is not about psychology. Your question is about no self. You want to know, how come the Buddha talk about no self? There's no soul. There are two branches of thinking in the Buddhist teaching. Consciousness with essence is like consciousness with eternity in it. I've been always citing an example. Life, existence is just walking a long way and getting into different hotels, different bodies you've got. We're renting a room in a hotel. And sometimes we're in a 5-star hotel because you've been doing good in your previous life. You're enjoying the 5-star hotel. And in this life, you're miserable. You didn't live in a hotel. You live in an off-the-road motel, or just a bed and breakfast. You don't even have dinner. Bed and breakfast. Bowen Island, bed and breakfast. They don't have hotels in Bowen Islands, I know about. I key into Bowen Islands and no hotel in Bowen, only bed and breakfast. They're so poor that you don't even have dinner to eat. So you get into a bed and breakfast. They don't qualify a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, and 1-star. So you roll into a bed and breakfast, and then when the time comes, you're 89 years old, and then the bed and breakfast landlord says, come on, you got to get out. So you have to go. So you have to check out. So you check out. So that means you die. You go into the row and roll into another hotel. Oh, this time it could be better. You go into a 2-star, 3-star, 4-star. This time you're in a presidential ensuite. Because of what you have done. When you're in bed and breakfast, what you have done is so great. You have been so passionate. You even sacrifice your life for people. You are a hero. You were in the French Revolution, and you are one of the revolutionaries who died, who sacrificed his body for the whole nation. You're so saintly. Then you roll into a presidential ensuite. You enjoyed your ensuite. But you enjoyed it so much that you forgot about what you should do. You become the president. You become the leader of a country. And you involve yourself with corruption. You involve yourself with sensual pleasures. You don't care about the mass population. You don't care about your citizens. You become a tyranny. Then you roll again into a bed and breakfast again. But then you're coming in and out, in and out, in and out in your existence. But who is that person coming in and out and in and out? It is still you, nobody else. You go in, you check in, you can check out. I couldn't check it for you. Can I check it out for you? No. That soul that you have, that self you have, in and out, that is an eternity. There's an eternity, an essence in that consciousness. So that is still that consciousness, that self. But when you practice the Buddhist teaching, the Buddhist teaching said, get rid of the conceptualization of self. It is because of that self. You always value, treasure, and so greedy with your own self that you've done all this karma. So in the practice, the technique of getting rid of yourself, but there is an eternity in you. There is an eternity, but that's two different things. There is an eternity. There's that person in and out, in and out. There's still an eternity, an essence in you, even though you change your form. Your form self has changed, but your consciousness self has not changed. And some people like to call it the soul. It hasn't changed. You roll in and out, but it hasn't changed. Now that is one school of thought of the consciousness with essence. And then when you study the Buddhism and you practice no self, that means you use the techniques of letting go yourself so that you purify yourself, then you don't have to go through these hotels again. You go onto this enlightenment path. You still have a self to go into this enlightenment path, the eternity self that attains the enlightenment, that becomes the Buddha. If there's nothing, then who is to become the Buddha? Who is responsible for reincarnation? So there must be something. Some people call it the soul, some people call it the self, some people call it the real self, not the fictitious self. Your fictitious self is that hotel. It's fictitious, it's impermanent, it's changing all the time. The form changed, but your consciousness hasn't changed. But still consciousness can be changed, because that consciousness that you carry yourself through, rolling into reincarnation, is a polluted consciousness. The Buddha said, follow the teaching, purify your polluted consciousness until it's one purity. The consciousness is no more pollution in it. Then that is enlightenment. No more rolling in to the different hotels. There's one school of thought that way. Another school of thought is absolutely there's no soul. There's consciousness without essence. Don't attach to any self. That's for people who are attached to self. The Buddha teaches consciousness without self. Okay? For people who said, oh, there's no anchorage of a self, then who has become the Buddha? Then the Buddha teaches consciousness with a self. The Buddha teaches according to your knowledge. The Buddha teaches according to the level of this understanding. The Buddha teaches according to which you are attached to. Because the Buddha can perceive through your mind. He knows what you're lacking. Who knows what you're attached to. Some people don't attach to self. Then the Buddha just teaches without self. If you attach to a self, then the Buddha says no self. It's just like when you teach to a group of students, every student is different. How can you use the one measuring yardstick to measure every student? The most profound, prolific teaching technique is to understand the requirement of every student and design the measure of teaching accordingly. But in the temporal world, there's no such zany teacher who sees through your mind. He can only use one textbook, one measuring yardsticks, one grading system, because he can't see through the student's mind. So what differentiates a good teacher and an average teacher is the good teacher gets to know you personally. The average teachers only doesn't even know your name for the whole term. Who's a teacher in here? There's no teacher, good. Oh, you're a teacher? Hey, is that right? Don't pull your hair because of one word. Oh, some people know self, some people self. Oh, what am I going to do? This word is self. Don't attach to words. Just carry on to walking. Don't worry about the scenery so much. Once you walk, you just walk leisurely and looking at the scenery, and you go on. You don't say, oh, what is this ego doing in there? What is this raccoon doing in there? And you stand there. Oh, a bear is coming. Maybe I should be waiting for him. I mean, you don't do this. You just keep on walking. Don't let these words, don't let these forms to pull you down. Don't attach to them. Just carry on the practice. And then you get your destination. Don't procrastinate because of a certain term that you don't understand. It's just that when we're a student of accounting, we always don't know what's the debit and the credit. And then the supervisor said, don't worry about it, just a double entry system. You put your bank in this column and you put your miscellaneous expenses in these other columns. You put in $6 in here, you put another $6 on the other side to balance it out. You don't pull your hair and say, I don't understand all this. You just carry on doing it and then post a general ledger, and one day you know, oh, it's got all balance. Oh, I know now. The mystery of all this is all clear. When you reach that level, all this mystery will clear. Don't worry about the fog now. It will clear up in the future. Can you explain more about what it means to take refuge and what the ceremony entails? To take refuge, that means you have understood generally the Buddhist teaching, and you would like to to pledge that I want to know more. It's just like the other day, there was a lady there asking, why do I have to ask why about life? Why do I have to ask about why all the time? I just live. I got my breakfast, I got lunch, I got to go to work, and when I'm happy, I laugh. You know, when I'm sad, I cry, and that's it. Why do I have to ask why? Why do I have to ask, where do I come from? Where will I go after death? How come there's inequalities? How do I improve my life as well as my folks' life? How do I get liberated from all these mental afflictions I have? How come there's so many sufferings in this world? How do I liberate myself, and how do I help others to liberate their sufferings? This is why. There's a lot of whys in life, not just the how. It's because of the why that we progresses. It's because of the why that we clear all the doubts. It's because of the whys that we clarify misunderstanding. You've got to have a lot of whys to ask. So taking refuge is to say, I know I'm on the right path. I pledge that I want to carry on. I know this hiking path is good, and I want to take it. It's good for my health, and I continue to walk this path. And in order to show my determination, I want to take refuge under the Buddha, just to show my determination I'm walking this path, and I won't sidetrack. If I don't take this determination, so I just do it leisurely, then it's just like I'm not taking any oath. If I take an oath that this is what I would do, I put it down in writing. It's imprint on stone. It's carved in stone that I want to benefit everybody. It is put in stone that it is government of the people, for the people, by the people, and we will follow it that way. You put it in stone, you carved it. And the other guy say, no, okay, if the time comes, I will govern it, government for the people, by the people, and you can change your mind all the time. You don't have the determination. You put it in your agenda. Every meeting has to have an agenda. If you say, I don't need an agenda, we just come for a meeting, we just yell out whatever we want to say, and who knows? Whatever comes up in a meeting, we talk about it. What's the difference? The difference is you got it in stone. You got it in an agenda. You don't have an agenda right now. You have an agenda to go by. Which one you prefer? You want a meeting with agenda, or you want a meeting without an agenda? You want a life with objective, or you want a life without objective? You want to do something with determination, or you want to do something without determination? Which is your choice? Of course, you want to take the one that with determination. You want to take the three refuges. You want to pledge that you want to follow the Buddha's teaching. That's taking refuge. And what the ceremony entails? Half an hour or an hour. Taking an oath, like you pledge that you follow the Buddha's teaching, and you will continue and continue. You don't have to take a vow that, oh, I will follow the Buddha's teaching. If I don't follow it, I will be struck by lightning. You don't have to do that like that. It's just your determination.